a new golden age of bodybuilding.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a great way to put it, because like we're very lucky. This is a very exciting time. Champions getting beat, like dynasties not happening, right? They're like that is tough now. It is not the same as it was, and I mean, who knows what's going to happen in Pittsburgh. Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm Big Ron Partlow, and of course I've got Dusty Hanshaw, and then the producer, Scott McNally. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
IamMutant.com. Remember, IamMutant.com, get your IsoSurge, get your all in, and everyone should get on the gear. Get on that gear every day, all year long. Okay, yes. Code Dusty, code Big Ron. Use the codes, keep us employed. Get a deal, save money, get it delivered right to your door. You don't have to get in your car and drive anywhere. You don't have to go to put up with anybody, you know. Hey, how's it going, man? What's going on? How's your bench? You don't have to have that conversation at the store. You just order what you want. Yeah, it'd be great. Okay, what's going on today?
Well, we are going to run through everyone's favorite topic right now, which is the Pittsburgh Pro.
Because we are the show coverage specialists.
Everyone knows this is where you come for shows.
We're like the hitmen of show coverage. You call us when you need a professional job.
Yeah, number one in contest coverage.
Number one in contest coverage.
Let's cover first, third, and fourth today.
Yeah. Let's at least start at first so we get to first.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very key.
Okay, so of course the talk of the town, Derek Lunsford.
Is in the town. He posted it. We are in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Which makes it all real, because I'll be the first to admit I wasn't certain the whole time.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't know if he'd actually show up?
Yeah, like I wasn't sure. Like I know, because it was like, you know, he's going to do it, and I was like, well, we'll see. And I know there's $100,000 on the line, but I was just curious. But Chris informed me at FIBO that what we saw at the Arnold is nowhere near how good he is now, which is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Chris did say that. He said, I was in Derek's hotel room this morning. It's completely out of hand. And that was like weeks and weeks ago, right? So
let's not forget also that he's seen a lot of out of hand. So for him to say that.
Yeah. Let's also not forget that when he says that, it often like is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah. Of course, Derek, there was that photo that got released of the back double, like 5 weeks out from the Arnold versus 5 weeks out now.
Yeah.
And it was like obviously condition difference because he was already in shape. So it's like the glutes are like already, you know, Lunsfordish.
Yeah.
And everything like that. So we'll see what happens with that. But do you think he's the man to beat just because he's, you know, the Arnold Classic champ?
I think he's the man to beat because he's the best.
There you go. Okay.
If he's at his best, if he's at 90% of his best, he's the best.
Yeah.
So
now, how do you think? So what was the battle? You remove Derek from the show, take Derek out of the show, like before Derek said he was entering the show, and everyone, of course, is talking about Nick,
Martin,
right?
Those
Good
are
Vito.
Yep. But I feel like Nick and Martin are the conversation because they were close at the Olympia, and then they were 1 and 2 at which show that Derek? New York, yeah. That Nick won last year.
Yeah, that was the show they were close at, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think, Nick wasn't in the Olympia.
Yeah, he didn't do the Olympia. But he did. They were close, and a lot of people even thought, I mean, I know that Dave said last week that he actually thought Martin won New York.
He did say that,
he didn't.
Yeah.
So, and we've all seen, and then from New York to the Olympia, Martin made drastic improvements and has made even more than that since the Olympia, which makes that showdown very exciting.
Yeah, this is going to be a killer show. I think, obviously they got the $100,000 prize money, but also as because I've got some experience with promoting shows, this is going to by far be their highest selling live stream that they've ever done it from this show. Like, this is going to be crazy because, I mean, like normally I wouldn't get up in the morning and pay for the live stream to watch Pittsburgh Pro.
Yeah.
And are they doing a free live stream or you got to pay for it?
I bet you have to pay for it.
It was just the Arnold that did the free one, right?
Yeah, I'll find out for sure. But
if it is pay, you should pay because it'll be worth it.
Yeah, because normally, if you just sit on Instagram while you're eating breakfast, you'll catch prejudging. Because I'm out west, right?
Yeah.
So by the time I'm eating breakfast, prejudging's like, I'm getting all the, the 4K videos coming through. But this will be worth getting up early and watching the prejudging because it's going to be mental. Do we have a full competitors list, Scott? Can you throw that up?
Yeah,
He's gonna throw it up. He's gonna
Or
throw
send
it
it
up
to us?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's on our chat.
Group chat in the
Yeah.
text. I sent it yesterday.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think
Oh, there we
if we do have Derek taking first, if that does happen, I want to see how both Nick and Martin push him. And then we can't forget, and of course, good Vito. I want to see how he fits into all of that. And I want to see how Krizo fits into all that because Krizo's looking freaking crazy. VJ, I think, told me that I think Krizo might have had, I know Nick had an update picture, you said, right, Dusty?
Yeah.
And good Vito had update pictures. I'll grab those in just a minute. But I from what I hear, what VJ tells me that the insiders that are seeing Martin's pictures are saying that Martin is off the hook right now. So
Yeah. And I have to give Krizo credit because I've got a good friend of mine. He doesn't follow bodybuilding the way we do, like contest placings and the intricacies, but he's a big fan and a bodybuilder himself. And he keeps sending me clips of Krizo, and he's like, "This guy looks insane in the gym. How could this looks like the type of guy that no one could stand. Like, what is going on? Have you seen this guy in real life?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's pretty crazy."
Yeah.
But
his head's actually not small; it just looks small on his body.
Yeah, he's got this look. Like when he's doing the video of him doing the one arm row.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You're just like, oh God, like it's hard to imagine that physique doesn't like just stomp everyone all the time, you know, like if you were to take that look and go back in time, like it would just, people's heads would pop off.
He looks like AI. Like if you were to tell me, like if you asked AI, like make a really crazy
as hard
European looking bodybuilder that's just
with like
off.
Pavel Jablonski conditioning, but like way bigger.
Yeah.
For those
And
who
like,
remember Pavel.
and make it look impossible, like something you really couldn't do in real life. I feel like you would get Krizo. That's what it would pop out for us.
Yeah. As my buddy says, he's got the dumbest arms I've ever seen. Those are nuts.
Yeah.
And he meant that as a compliment, right?
Yes. Everything negative is a compliment in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Thank you.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm definitely excited to see that. I can't help it because I know all the guys, and I really want to see Nick. I don't care where he lands, but it was funny. I was telling Nikki the other day, I pull up a picture of him that he had posted, and I go into the comments where people are like, he should retire.
Is there people still saying that?
Oh yeah, and the thing, I'm like, okay, let's just say you're correct, and he's not going to win the Olympia. So you're saying that anyone who can't win the Olympia should quit?
Yeah,
because he's definitely top 5 on the planet, top 8 at the very worst if he was off. That means you should quit?
That's like out of all the bodybuilders that are doing bodybuilding everywhere, in every gym, in every city, around the entire world.
He's standing on every stage, at every show.
So basically, if you can't beat Derek Lunsford, then you should quit bodybuilding.
So now we're back to the days where Sergio shows up all by himself.
Yeah.
Is that progression? That's what you think this is about? You know what I mean?
Mind-blowing to me. And it does appear, based on the pictures, his waist is way down.
That back lat spread taper looks like almost like he had surgery. His
arms look bigger because of it.
Yeah.
Slide to the lat spread shot.
All right. There we go.
The sweep looks bigger.
Yeah.
You know, and those that can actually look at a photo and see shadows can see where his waist actually is. I mean, I if that's retirement, then the rest of us should have never started.
I should have kept playing football.
Yeah.
Yeah, mind-blowing to me. So we know it's going to be him, Martin, you know, the 4 we said all in the top group. My big question is, good Vito, based on the photo that he posted, front double bicep, if he can land on stage and look like that, I don't know how that stands. If you want to pull that up, Scott, I don't know how that stands next to everyone else because it looks completely cartoonish.
Oh,
he does.
Yeah,
he doesn't look real to me. I mean, And I know that we've seen him leading into shows before, and it's had that effect. But like, what?
That is just nutty.
Yeah, he's got like a real hyper muscular look.
Yeah.
But he's a mass monster. But where's the waist? Why is it? And why is he vacuumed in on that shot? Like, how the hell do you do that? You know. And then we're sitting here saying that can't win is mind-boggling.
Yeah,
you know,
he's insane. He's insane. And then also too, the fact that we haven't mentioned Bonac yet.
Yeah.
Who is one of those guys that I will admit we sometimes don't mention, and then he comes in and beats half the guys we talked about, and we're like, oh yeah, Bonac, 2-time Arnold Classic winner. Duh, we didn't bring him up.
Here's Bonac.
Because you know how it is. You know how it is. You got to stand on stage and line up against everyone, and things all of a sudden change. Like we go through this every show, and everyone goes through this every show, right? Everyone makes their predictions, and then there's that one guy. They're like, oh yeah. As soon as he stood in the lineup, he was 3 places higher than I had him. And
think about Martin at the Olympia. Like if you'd have seen Martin when he walked out alone at the Olympia, you weren't thinking top 5.
Right, I was thinking, man, he looks insane, but he's like one of the smaller guys.
Yeah, and then all of a
that's just
sudden,
in your head, right?
Yeah, then you start seeing them next to each other, and you're like, wait, why do my eyes keep pulling to him?
Why did I think he was a smaller guy? Just because he's shorter and weighs less?
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he's like, what? Like, oh my God, he's gonna place in the top 5. Like it just got every single shot. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, but that's one of the things I love the most. Like, bodybuilding's boring when it's totally predictable. Yeah. It's those moments that make a show exciting, right? Like that was one of the things that made the Olympia super exciting. Was like, yeah, Samson won, that was awesome. Like Sam's such a great guy, wins, really great top 3 and all that. But then one of the talks of the show was, Jesus, Martin.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, Martin shows up and like boom, 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 just like topples a bunch of guys and bam, right in there, you know, in that final call out and all that stuff that happened. And that's when, you know, that's when bodybuilding gets really exciting. And I would love to see something like that happen at this show. Like, you know, obviously everyone thinks, you know, Derek's hard to beat. But there's a lot of exciting shit that can go down. Like between the first call out and the last call out of the finals, when they do that confirmation call out, there's a lot of guys that could get like bump, 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 bumpity bump.
And there's no promises. Just because we think Derek is, you know, potentially going to be the best, he's got the track record, you know, he's done so well, it doesn't mean that he's going to do it. You know,
he could eat some Lasix fish and have a bad show.
Yeah.
Yep.
You never know.
Wrong coach for that.
Yeah.
No, but if you think about it, though, it's the same. Like
coach.
When you rewind time, when Gunter took 5th at the Olympia,
that was the highlight of the whole show.
He was who everyone talked about. He took 5th.
Yeah.
He was the one that everyone was like, whoa, what? And then same thing. I mean, you know, last year at the Classic, Bumstead wins. You expected that. But I would say half of the conversation, if not more, was Mike the Badass. Like, where did you come from?
Yeah. And
why weren't we talking about you leading into the show?
And the fact that Chris, for the first time out of all of his wins, wasn't straight firsts.
Yeah.
And everyone knew it. They were like, holy shit, Mike won a couple poses there. That was nuts.
Yep.
That was it's so fun. And I love it when bodybuilding is fun, because I'll admit, old, grizzled, jaded, I've got a beaten up heart, gentlemen.
Years in the game.
And I don't mean my heart's healthy. I just
very, I can show you that.
Figuratively.
Yeah.
And it's super fun when you get that like little kid feeling again, like you're watching something new and exciting happen. And I'm glad that like when Dave said on the show last week that he thought we were going through a new golden age of bodybuilding.
Yep.
And I thought about that after. That was actually one of the moments in the show I thought about afterwards when I was sitting there having my meal.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a great way to put it, because like we're very lucky. This is a very exciting time. Champions getting beat. Like dynasties not happening. Mm-hmm. Right? They're like, that shit is tough now. It is not the same as it was. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen in Pittsburgh? And who would have thought they'd go to Pittsburgh to see this shit, right? Right? Because, what was the prize money in Pittsburgh up till now? Was it like a 10 grand show?
It wasn't.
I mean, it was enough that it wasn't even the top list that people talked about.
It was a tier 3 show for the
a
majority
lot of
the
good
years,
shows,
hasn't it been?
from
I'm
now
not,
too,
for
someone
sure.
correct me, and all of a sudden it's 100K, and
And
shit's about
Aceto's
to go
right
down.
again. Throw a bunch of money and people show up.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited for it, and I do hope that there's some people that shock, because that, as a fan, is fun. There's 2 Scotts. That's weird.
Double Scott attack.
Are you seeing 2? Because I should only.
Yeah,
I
we
should
got
only
a 4.
be-
We got a 4 square. We got a 4 square on my.
Oh, I only
You're
see,
laughing
I
or
only see
something?
the
Oh, now
3.
we got
there we go.
Now
Now I'm in the
moving
middle. And now Scott's frozen again, but he looks good frozen. Oh, there he is.
He's
moving
back.
around.
He's back. But yeah, no, I'm excited for that part. I want to see. I'm really hoping as a fan to see good Vito come in like I see in the updates, because I haven't seen that. If I see the front double that we just saw on stage, I don't care where he lands.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And then all of a sudden, people are talking differently every time he does a show. So
Yeah.
it'll be exciting, and all of it leads to an even better Olympia. No matter what happens, even if it goes down exactly how we say, it makes the Olympia more exciting again. And like Ron said, I actually told this to a guy at the gym the other day. He wanted to smack me. I skipped a couple Olympia finals that I could have went to because I was like, I know who's winning.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I've seen, so many of them. And now I don't miss. The Arnold, I'm going. The Olympia, I go. Like, we don't know going into the show. I mean, whoever wins the Olympia, it still means the title changed hands, because in everyone's eyes now that Derek beat Samson, he's the best again. So even if Samson wins the Olympia, it'll actually feel like a trade of power again, even though he's the stand-up. Scott, you gotta stop playing your random music during the show.
Yeah, I was trying to
I
pull
know
up
what
that
he's
song
looking
though.
at.
I was trying to pull up that post that you.
Oh, it's
you,
great.
You guys were looking at. I figured I was going to chat. I was trying to prepare in the background. I
The
didn't.
next segment.
Yes,
Look at him go.
I didn't realize. I got to turn the music down there before we get demonetized.
Don't want to get a trademark.
On that note,
Yeah,
You don't want CCR to come after you.
right. It's the last thing you want.
John Fogerty calling you up. You're using my song. Vietnam movies only, son.
Yeah.
There's no helicopter scene in this.
Oh God.
good morning,
so true.
Vietnam. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. No. I saw Derek also said that he wanted to be the first Triple Crown winner.
Ooh, I like
And I'm
that.
like,
He's a
oh,
horse.
so are we now considering the Pittsburgh the Triple Crown, like with the O and the Arnold?
That's
Money
I would have
decides
surpassing
that.
New York, right? Is that what you're going to
Yep.
say? Yeah.
Right. I would have thought if you would have asked me what's the Triple Crown of bodybuilding if you had to build one, I'd be like, well, it's Olympia, Arnold, and I guess New York Pro.
And I would put Chicago if you asked me for a fourth.
Right. So now I guess the prize money. I mean, what's prize money in New York? Is it 100K?
25.
I guess it's not 30. I guess it's not the trifecta anymore.
Well, then I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Right?
sure it was 25 last year, or at least it was. So New York was always, because that's the show everyone wants. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
well,
the draw.
I still have like that. Remember when it used to be called Night of Champions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And it was like the Night of Champions ring and like the whole. There was like a big deal to win that show, and it still is. Obviously, it's the New York Pro. It's the most vicious crowd in bodybuilding. They say.
I love
remember?
that. Yeah.
The freaks show up. in that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. We're off the contest coverage, everybody. No real predictions. Not putting our balls on the line. Moving on.
We really didn't say anything like always.
No. Well, we did
No.
say Derek.
We
said that.
voted Derek, and then we also immediately said, but if he doesn't win.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I want to see Nick Walker earn the respect that he deserves.
Oh, he's already earned it. People just
That's what I want to see. I
assholes.
want to see him shut people up. I like all the
agree.
guys, but I know Nick had a freaking hard deal with a couple issues that had taken him out, and he definitely deserves, I think, more respect than he gets. So I want to see him up there, and I want to see him battle Martin, and may the best man win. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
Agreed.
if Martin wins, I'm not hurt by that either. The best guy's gonna take it, but I want to see a freaking battle. Show me, like you guys were saying, basically, show me a battle And that I think it's going to be an excellent show no matter how it goes. What was this post you guys sent? Was this you, Dusty? You sent this one?
Yeah, Dusty said it was so funny, and I just this is me times 100 at every time Emily and I go anywhere. And we just went to Mexico, right? So this happened.
Yeah. This is, you got to put it up. Can you put it up, or you got to do it after post?
I'll throw it up in post. Actually, yeah, that'll be the easiest. Another jacked guy at the resort gym this morning. Head nod. So I'm at breakfast with our families. Head nod and what's up, bro? Ran into him again on the beach. Head nod. My wife. Who's that? Me. No clue. Just some dude from the gym. They just don't get it.
Totally. It is a thing. Everyone, anybody who does it knows that thing you do. You're like, what's up?
Yeah. I remember I remember we get to Mexico. We go down. Get the sunscreen on. Emily gets her chair. She's going to do the lay in the sun thing that she likes to do that I can't stand. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go do a lap around the pool. And I'm walking around the pool. I see a dude sitting there drinking a rum. And I'm like, and I tell the guy obviously trains. He's like got, he packs, big arms, sitting there. Head nod. Walk by a guy ordering some food, looks over at me. I'm like, that guy's jacked. Head nod. There's like 4 head nods around the pool. I come back, she goes, so did you make some friends? And I go, oh yeah, a bunch of guys here.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you guys when we were on our trip in the Dominican, we're sitting up and they've got like a overtop pool area where you just kind of chill, and we're sitting. I see this guy on the same pool area. I'm like, that guy's got some size on him.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, and he definitely looked out of place, and we, mentioned it. About 10 or so minutes later, him and his girl come walking up. He's like, you're Dusty Hanshaw. I'm like, yes. And he goes, oh, I watch the show all the time. We get talking, of course, he competes, the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, well, I noticed you, so you're doing something very well.
Right.
When I can see just your shoulders out of the top of the pool, I'm like, that guy, he doesn't just train. Like, that's a bodybuilder.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
That's the thing I try to tell my clients, like, that's the goal. When I first started bodybuilding, you could see I trained, but I could have been an athlete. I could have been anything. And it's not until people started saying, oh, you bodybuild. Like, then I realized, oh, I've crossed that Mendoza line where no one's asking. Like, obviously they can see I'm not athletic at all anymore.
Yeah.
So I've crossed the line where he's definitely not an athlete.
Right. Yeah. No, it's funny. And then especially the older guys too. Like the one dude we saw at the resort was like, he's probably 5 years older than me. Like he would have been into his 50s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the head nod like 2 breakfasts in a row, and then finally on the 3rd day he's like, hey, you're with Mutant, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. But and he starts talking, and then he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I actually knew Rich back in the day.
Oh.
He's like, I lived in LA for like 8 years, and he was telling me how he knew Rich at the gym, and then he trained at Gold's a bunch of times, and I was just like, it's just funny, like the, guys that have been around for a long time, everyone knows someone, and
Yeah.
So
we
had a head nod.
We had a guy who commented on the show the other day, and he was like, hey, I'm from Syosset, New York, and I knew Dave since before Dave was big. Like, he was scrawny. And then he blew up, funny. And he was like, there was like a 2-year period where he just exploded, Oh,
that's awesome.
That was cool.
You gotta love the throwback ones. I told you guys this, but I had to mention it on the show because I thought it was cool. So 2 Saturdays ago, I'm training legs, and I see this kid on the pendulum squat, and he's starting to struggle a little bit, but I know he's got more in him, so I don't say anything. I just notice he doesn't have any AirPods in. So I come over and I just say over his shoulder, I'm like, hey, I got you, just keep jamming. So we force out a couple reps, and then as soon as he racks it, I just walk away. I start my next set, and I look at him, and he's getting ready to get started. I said, hey, give me a minute if you want another spot. I'll spot you through another. He's like, all right, cool. So it was like his drop back set, and at like 10, he's struggling. So I push him through like 5 more reps. Like, it's barely moving. I'm giving him like 1.5 pounds of help, And he racks it, and I walk away. And then a few minutes later, he walks over, and he's like, I listen to the show all the time. And I'm like, oh, God. I was like, well, you can now tell everyone that I completely ruined your workout, have no idea how many reps you were planning on doing.
Yeah.
And
you might have an injury you're dealing with, but now it's 10 times worse because I just...
Thanks to Dusty.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, I got his name. I was like, all right, well, I'll forever remember that I didn't allow Doug to even let me know what he was looking for. I just made him do more.
Yeah.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually, like, you know, when we opened the gym, I had a habit of, like, I'd be walking around the gym and I'd see somebody, I'd go over and I'd spot them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, like, not everybody wants forced reps.
Ron made me,
You're getting them whether you want them or not.
You know, it's like
1 star. The owner made me do way more reps.
Yeah,
I
1
injured
star.
my shoulder
Or it's
and-
some guy who's following a 5x5 program and I just totally screwed up his math. He's like,
that was me right there.
yeah, you know, he's like, fuck, this owner keeps coming over, just destroying me, and my volume, my output goes in the tank. And yeah.
I'm really hoping that Doug wasn't leaving reps in reserve. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
he's
didn't let him.
an RIR kid, right? You don't
wasn't
come over
that
and make
day.
the RIR kids hate you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I just leave people alone unless I hear screaming and there's like someone trapped under something, you know?
You still come over and go, are you doing a negative or should I actually take this off?
Should
of
I
you?
help? I don't want to like get sued, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
want
I
1
thought
star.
the moment he said that, I was like, and I actually didn't ask. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Things to be aware of.
I have to throw
Yeah.
something out there, guys. I have to say to the audience, everybody listening, first of all, we appreciate having you guys here. We need questions for the next shows. So hit us up. Leave us questions.
Yes.
Everything you got. We had a bunch of them, Dusty, from because so when we do the interview shows, we usually don't get a lot of listener questions. So we didn't have a lot this week, but I dug back and I looked at that thread that you posted on Instagram the other week, and I grabbed a bunch of those because I think that you put that thread up and then we didn't answer any of them. Do you remember that?
It's kind of like our contest coverage. Ask for something and don't deliver. It's what we do.
So I wanted to ask you guys. This one. This is one of the listener questions. How would Justin Compton do in today's lineup? Imagine him coming into Pittsburgh Pro, like at his best.
Extremely well.
Yeah.
I consider Justin Compton, he is in the same category to me as Mike Francois.
Yeah,
That's a hell of a
I can see
compliment.
where you're going.
Yep.
Like, unbelievable potential and career, just he had other things going on. Gonna shut it down. He's probably making way more money now. Probably smart move.
Yeah. Saving money by not bodybuilding. There's
Saving
that.
money, but not bodybuilding. Great guy. You know, everyone likes Justin Compton. Everyone liked Mike Francois. He's very similar. Obviously, Mike had like severe colitis that like ended his career forcibly, like hospital surgery, life-changing sort of thing. And Compton has spoken about why he shut things down too. Yeah. But you know, Compton's I think Compton's doing great now. I mean, I haven't spoken to him for a while, but he's in that same category where, like, you know, we didn't get to see Compton win an Arnold or anything like that, but he was that type of bodybuilder to me, and a great guy too. Like, I remember seeing him, and the most I talked to him was in Australia one year because he was down there for the Australian Arnold. I think it was. I don't think he competed. I think he was just there for the expo. And I saw him at the gym, and he was the coolest dude. And spoken to him other, you know, obviously through our technology.
Yeah.
But I consider him to be like that. Like, we'll never really know what he could have done on stage, but extraordinarily dangerous. And, you know, conditioning, obviously, off the hook all the time. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's funny that you said Meg Francois because I was thinking Dennis Newman.
Right.
Even and the only thing I gotta throw in there is because I hate the word potential.
Yeah.
Because potential usually means you haven't done shit, and that's not the term I'm using in this regard because he was realizing his potential, just needed more time to continue doing the path he was on
better every time.
Drastically, and that's the difference. Like, I usually consider potential to be a negative word, but in his case, the only thing that stopped the meteoric rise that he was on was that he stopped.
Yeah.
I don't care why he chose to stop, but it
guys
wasn't
are
like, oh, if he would have done this or stayed more focused. It was none of that. It just more time. You know, I would not blink to assume at a healthy version that would have kept going would have won an Arnold, possibly an Olympia. And I mean, he's young enough; he could still be banging. So I agree 100%. I think sadly we did not see the best that we would have seen, And that's mind-boggling because he was so good,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, he'd do awesome. And that's, I wanted to segue real quick, Scott, while we're on the subject, because Dave said something that rang to me, not because I've never thought of it, but because I say it all the time.
What's that?
When we asked him about the thing that separates the best guys from the rest, he said consistency. And it blows my mind. I wanted to talk about it with you guys because I know you guys can share the same point. I have multiple athletes with very big goals, big aspirations, and it stuns me how you can have a goal of winning an overall or turning pro, and simultaneously, because that's one of the things I ask in their check-ins, like, what are your goals? I want to know your short-term goal. I mean, what's your BHAG, as I call it, your big hairy ass goal that maybe you can't reach but you're chasing? And those things are listed, and simultaneously, multiple times a year, I get how many meals were missed, how the training was a little down this week, how they did this. And I when he said that, I just shook my head, and I actually responded to one of my clients. I said, you either need to change your goals because your output does not match that, or you need to change how you're approaching your bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because what Dave said is accurate. Like, when I was competing, I knew what I was capable of. Like, the end goal I knew was not phenomenal, but I also understood the only way to get to the best I could be was to be insane. So when he was like, oh, I didn't miss meals for years, I'm like, neither did I. Didn't have down workouts. Like, I was obsessed with getting this done. And I think there's some confusion with some people that Derek Lunsford's life is somehow easy to get all this done, or anyone's. I'm like, no, when I was turning pro, I had 5 retail stores and was waking up at 4 a.m. and going to bed after training at midnight. And that's not like I'm hardcore. That's just how many hours were in my day. It was the only way to get it all done. And it, like you were saying, Ron, with Ronnie, it never occurred to me that missing a meal was even a plausible option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind how many people don't get that every single day, every single meal, every single workout matters. And how can you have this goal? And if you're doing what you should be doing, your goal should be slightly out of reach and you should be hunting it down. Then how can you think that you're going to not do everything every day and beat people who are genetically better than you?
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where, and I don't think, and for those that are listening, I don't think there's anything wrong with having that realization and saying, those goals don't mean enough to me. Because I'm not willing to not have a week off or miss a meal because of work or whatever. That's okay. I'm not Mr. Hardcore. I think it's just important that you're a realist and say, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then you can, change your mind and say, okay, I need to lower these goals. Maybe my highest goal is just a state level win. Cool. That might be feasible with the way you're chasing. But these win a pro card, win an overall, that ain't going to happen. I got 5 local guys here who don't miss meals ever, who train at 3 a.m. because that's the only way they can get it done before work because they got kids at home and they don't want to be coming home at 10 p.m. and not seeing their kids. How are you going to beat them, let alone genetic mutants who also don't miss meals? I mean, Dave was a freak.
Yeah.
But he never missed a meal also.
Yeah. The whole talent versus hard work is like, well, there's talent and hard work in those guys. Yeah. Because you're just not going to touch them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just thought that was a simple point that Dave made that I feel it should be played over and over and over. Like, consistency. That's the magic. People ask, like, how many times do you have a bad workout? I'm like, I can't even remember having a bad workout.
Also, too, what's a bad workout? Like, because
one that you get hurt. You know what I mean?
Right, literally.
Yeah.
So, I think another thing, too, is the ability to make mental pivots with how you perceive what's happening. Like, if I think, okay, well, I didn't have bad workouts. I'm like, well, I had workouts that I could have perceived as bad.
Yeah.
But I shifted my perception and I changed gears and I did something different and I managed to get a really great pump that day. And then I didn't think of it as a bad workout, and then it didn't, like, my mindset wouldn't go there.
Right.
So it's also your ability to control your own mindset. Like, you know, maybe I went to the gym one day and, you know, I had like a weak set on my opener. But instead of just letting that get me down, which I see this from people like, oh, my reps are down on my incline today. Fucking shit. I'm like, I never did that. I'd be like, okay, I just had a bad set of inclines. I got 5 instead of 8. I'm going to change gears. I'm going to go over to this machine. I'm going to blast sets of 15.
Yeah.
Blow the shit out of my pecs. Then I'm going to do that fly machine that I never use because I actually kind of like it. And I'm going to smash some sets on that and finish with another press. And then how was your workout? And by the end of your workout, you got this crazy your pecs are blowing out and your fucking triceps are blowing out from doing tries. And you're like, awesome.
Dude,
an awesome workout.
Dude, I've worked with people occasionally. One guy I'm thinking of in particular, and I think he's changing that perspective now. But he would get down on himself, and I almost feel like bodybuilding became it would not be a fun thing if you're constantly disappointing yourself and like, oh, I didn't get those reps and I failed here. And I like that perspective better because you're constantly, like you said, you're spinning it into something that ends up being a good thing, you know?
And I have to touch on my hobbies here because I thought about this the other day. That skill that I took, and I don't know if I learned it from bodybuilding, but I definitely did 30 years of it in the gym. Mm-hmm. But that perspective, shifting perspective practice I had with all of those potentially bad workouts that weren't bad workouts, I find myself doing that now with my hobbies. Mm-hmm. Like I've got the bad hip right now. By the way, I'm talking to surgeons about a hip replacement.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've got like consults coming up and stuff. It's really, I haven't really mentioned it, but it's really interfered with my riding. Mm-hmm. Like there's a bunch of tricks I was starting to learn and I can't really lift my knee up high enough right now without some pretty bad pain. So I have to put those tricks all in the back burner. So what do I just not? No, I go out and I practice other things. Are there other skills I can learn where I don't have to lift my knee? Yes, there's a whole bunch of other skills. So let's shift your perspective, learn other things, get better in another way. And then when your hip's better, you're going to have, it'll all come together. It's just a patience game. And then same with guitar. Like I'll have a session where something I'm working on, I suck. I'm trying to learn a new song. Just like my fingers aren't listening to my brain. And so I'll just, you know what? I'll put on some stuff that's easy, crank up the album and just jam with an album for like 30 minutes. And then I come out with a big smile on my face, all this positive bio stuff happening in my brain from having a blast and jamming along, and I'll turn it into a great session.
And as a result, you're going to want to do it again versus if you have enough fails enough times in a row, then why am I even doing this anymore?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I'm just not a good guitar guy.
Yeah, getting stuck on like, man, like that sort of shit. It's practice to be able to change, to keep a positive perspective and find something positive to go to. And Emily would be like, oh, I'll come out of the office and be like, how was it? I've been in there jamming for 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing about the bodybuilding side, though, with this whole thing is back to the consistency. If your food and your water and your sleep and all those things are correct, the odds of having this workout that you have to adjust are lower.
Yes.
True.
Because usually that's the thing I can ask a client, like, well, what'd you do different? Oh, this morning I didn't get my water in, but okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Like that's half the reason you were weaker. Like, how'd you sleep last night? Oh, I was stressed. Okay. Now you can't always avoid those things, but when you're consistent, then the odds go lower. Like if somebody said to me on May 14th, 2012, you trained back, what'd you do that morning? I could tell you. I don't need to know the days because I did the same thing every day. I woke up at the same time, ate the same meals, drank the same liquids. Everything was the same leading up. So all the things that I could control were the same.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big missed part. It's like you can't necessarily control if you got a bad night's sleep. That just happens. But if you're letting a bunch of other things be, everyone's so worried about exactly how they're performing a rep, but they're not concerned about how much water they drank and sodium they brought in before they went to the gym. If all that stuff's the same, then the odds of even having to have this twist in your workout get lower. And then when it happens and it's so rare, it's a lot harder to get frustrated. Because when I go to the gym, like you were saying, Ron, if I could tell, like, okay, I mean, we've all been there. I always use the deadlift as an example. I put 135 on the bar. Sometimes it feels like I'd never done it before. I'm like, why is this awkward as hell? And then sometimes I pick up 135 and I'm like, it's going to be a good day. And people are like, well, how do you know? I'm like, because the bar moved flawlessly the very first time I pulled it, which means as I go up, that's going to continue happening. You can't control that, but on the days that are off and everything you've controlled that could control is there, it's really easy to go, you know what? The universe has decided today's workout's going to be a little different. So we're going to beat the shit out of ourselves with 405 on deads today. Because I already know what'll happen when I get into 600 pounds and I'll get frustrated. So I'm just going to skip it and not do that. Like you said, and not allow my very first movement to derail. Or I'm sure you guys have had the experience where your first movement's a little off and you're like, if you got in your head and said, it's a bad workout, well, then it's going to be one. But next thing you know, your second movement just moving like butter. And you're like, well, that's good. Like, I guess it was just the incline was awkward today for some reason. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I definitely think you're right, Ron. It's how you preface it, but also when you control all the things that you can, the odds of even having to do that are really low. And I think that's why I didn't experience many of those times, because it was all controlled, and anything that popped up was only things out of my control. And I tell people that all the time, like, if it's out of your control, fuck it. It is what it is. But if you're failing on things that you can control, well, then fix it. That's not hard. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was really stoked when Dave said that, because I love that he said one word and went silent. He's like, consistency. And then just sat there, and I was like, and then he went into it, but I'm like, yes.
I pulled out a couple more good ones from your thread, Dusty. Here's one I wanted to hear what you guys had to say. When did the behind the neck press go extinct?
When Kevin Levrone retired.
Yeah. Skip still does them. Skip loves the behind the neck press.
I
mean, he's wearing the T.
Michael
Michael sweatshirt too, which, by the way, Ron, he told me that the same owner from all the way back in the day still owns T. Michael's.
Still owns it.
Still is selling the, what did he call it? The big top shirt. You could still buy the big top. Yep.
It's not too late, Ron. You can get an extra large big top instead of a 4XL big top.
I'm still a double X, Dusty. Boy. I think I'm genetically a double X. Like, I think.
Yeah, I don't think your bones aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get narrower than I am now. That's funny. When did the behind the neck press? Yeah, Kevin Levrone was a big one when he stopped making videos.
When he stopped doing 405 behind the neck.
Yeah.
I still remember, like, when I stopped doing them. I started training in 1990, and behind the neck presses were a thing. Everyone's behind the neck pressing, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was training with my friend John in Australia, and he could do like 3.5 plates behind the neck press, like for reps. Like, I'd unrack it, let go of the bar. He'd crank out like 6, 7. I'd spot him for a couple. And I remember it was that old school shoulder press, right? With like the seats like straight.
Yeah.
And there's no railing on the front of the machine, right? It's just like you unrack it and you are alone in space with that above your head, right? There's no safety rack.
Yeah.
And I remember I'd press with him and I could do like a 1.5 plates behind my head.
Yeah.
And, maybe 2 plates for 5 or something like that, like heavy ass set. And I just remember I'd smack my head at least once every set. Like, bang. Oh, fuck.
Oh,
that hurt.
yeah.
You know, oh, Jesus. Like,
Yeah.
And it were just never, like, I never had the mobility, even as like an more athletic young guy.
I was going to say, I don't know any big guys anymore. They're telling me all nowadays, they're like, I can't even squat with a regular bar. I have to use a safety squat bar. Try getting those arms behind the neck, you know?
Yeah. Like, I couldn't even do it now with an empty bar. Couldn't even put, you know. So I'd say like early to mid 90s, I stopped seeing anyone behind the neck press.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think probably Dorian's video came out too in 97, and he had the front military Smith.
Everybody started doing that, didn't they?
And I think that was like the final nail in the coffin, you know. You know, that was probably it. Also, after after Blood and Guts came out, another thing, bodybuilders greatly and largely reduced how much they were squatting.
Yep.
It was hacking, leg pressing, Smith machine squatting, because everyone was on the Dorian plan. So like the barbell squats really like went to like a small number of people. And then of course what happens after Dorian? Ronnie wins the event. And then everyone starts front squatting, parking lot lunging. The people don't realize how those videos absolutely changed training. Like every time a new Mr. Olympia dynasty happened, or like Dusty said, Lavrone's videos had those crazy behind the neck presses and stuff. It affected the whole bodybuilding trend thing.
Look at the,
you know, that's
what's crazy, man. Look at today. It's still happening, but it's not necessarily the Olympias. It's like the influencers, which I'm sorry, I'm going to call Jordan Peters an influencer. You know what I'm saying? Look at how many people are doing what he does now, you know?
So here's a little message. I told this to one of my guys, and he was like, really? Because he's younger, right? And I said, until Jordan Peters came along, I never saw a bodybuilder on the adductor machine.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, I want the young guys to know that. Like, Dorian, Kevin, all those, a whole 90s era.
Yep.
Then you got Nasser, the Mass Monsters into the 2000s, Jay, all those freaks that came in that era. Phil Heath.
Yeah.
7 Olympias straight. Every single guy, leg pressing, hacking, squatting, lunging, extensions, curls, stiff leg deadlifts.
Yep.
That is it.
And now adductor and a gym pin.
and then Jordan Peters started doing adductors.
Yeah.
And everyone started thinking, oh, if I want to increase my adductor size, I have to do adductor machine.
Yep.
But man, nobody did them. Like, look at Nasser's adductors. Don't even have to look at the guys that won shows. Look at the guys that are in like 10th, 9th, 8th.
Yeah.
Look at their adductors. They all had huge legs.
Yep.
Squatting, pressing, moving their feet around on the leg press.
Yeah.
Moving their feet around on the hack. Lunging especially. Single leg squats in the Smith. All types of stuff. Not a single guy used the adductor machine. And now it's like adductors in a gym pin.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you guys need to understand this is brand new and completely isolated to your generation.
Yeah.
And that's why adductors have a 200-pound stack on them, because they're not made for JP.
Yeah.
It didn't even dawn on adductor manufacturers that JP was going to add 300 pounds to his adductor machine.
Right.
Which then leads to me. Now, we've had 2 broken cables on the adductor because of gym pins. And we want to be a bodybuilder-friendly gym, obviously. But guess how much the cable on the adductor machine costs?
Yeah, what do those run for?
It's not a normal cable. It's not like I just put a cable on and crimp a loop on it and attach it.
Yeah.
It's a custom cable with a ball in it that has a 50-ton press that customizes it with the fixture already on it. You have to order it from Life Fitness. $650 every time someone breaks that cable. And so someone broke it the other day, putting like 3 plates on it, and then it's down for 2 weeks because I got to order a cable from Life Fitness. And then all the bodybuilders are complaining, when's the abductor getting fixed? I'm like, you guys, this is not a cable stack with a press down on it where I just go crimp a cable and it's fixed. I had to order a cable. And they're like, oh, it's $50. I see guys on Instagram, it's $15 cable, big deal. No, it's a $650 cable. It's a custom cable. That's not a normal cable. And so now we don't allow gym pins on the adductor anymore. And the amount of heartbreak. And it's like, dude, nobody used this for that. For like the entire time until recently. And then also when you break the adductor and it's down, think of all the girls now. Like 2.5 weeks worth of female members are like, the adductor's broken.
Dusty, I trigger him by bringing up behind the neck press, or did he trigger himself? I can't.
It was a spiral.
I'm glad. I'm just glad he was triggered. That's all.
I just want to let the guys know it's not as simple as it sounds. I saw a video the other day of a kid doing a plate-loaded row machine.
Okay.
It was an old Icarian plate-loaded row. Great machine.
I like those. Yeah.
Yeah, but we know the Icarian machines, their stacks were a little light, right?
Yeah.
He's got the full stack on, and then he has 3 45s on the gym pin.
Ooh.
And he pulls on it and it snaps. And he's like, oh, getting too strong for the gym. And the comments are like, someone says like, oh, as a gym owner, that's really annoying. And the number of people that literally go, shut the fuck up. I pay my membership. You can fix that cable in 2 minutes. Quit bitching.
Oh,
that's the type of respect gym owners get from some of these guys.
Listen, to be honest, that's the type of respect anybody gets online if you don't agree with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the way we react nowadays.
Right.
Apparently.
And one comment was like, that takes 3 minutes to fix.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if you have cable on hand, maybe you just ran out of cable because someone broke 10 other machines and they are waiting for cable to arrive. So like, as a gym owner, some of this stuff people say online, I think you guys have no idea. Now that machine's out of order for at least a couple days, and which annoys a gym owner because we want everything to work, right?
Yeah.
And also, too, man, why don't you just use a chest-supported T-bar?
Yeah.
You could fill it up, put 7 plates on it. No one cares. Why do you have to use a cable machine and put 3 45s on it? And like, hey, I used to put a plate on a lot of stuff. We used to take an extra pin, put a plate on the pec deck, put a plate on the leg extension. I remember those days.
Yeah.
But 3 plates, you're like literally almost doubling the stack, right?
It's going to be a problem.
Well, the funny thing to me about the gym pins is I found with certain machines, because the weight actually moves, that I don't even get the weight I think I'm getting, because now the negative is dragging. So I'm not feeling that. So I've actually found on some pieces I have to keep it with 1 and just get more reps, because it doesn't work out. Like I'm like, oh, I actually get more out of doing a single plate on this where it's not throwing it off. If I'm not lucky enough to, like some of the pieces I have, I can put a gym pin on each side and balance it out.
Yeah,
right.
But if you can't, it's like pay attention to both your eccentric and concentric on the pole, and you're going to realize this isn't benefiting anyways.
Yeah, it
the
actually
stack
like drags
has to
on the way
lean
up
and drag
and down. Yeah. And then also too, one trick is you put the gym pin as low as you can.
Yep.
So there's less tilt to the stack, because if you have it up higher, it's going to really tilt more. But so some machines like some of the presses, if you put the gym pin really low and you put 1 plate on and then put a band on the handles, you've got the plate and a band, and now you can overload it without like just loading the stack with plates.
Okay. Yeah.
So you just got to try to, but yeah, just think about the gym pin stuff's getting a little out of hand with some of the kids that are doing the 5 rep everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, by the way.
You can edit that whole thing out, Scott. Sorry.
Dude, no, this is the best part of the show. There's going to be people who want that. They're waiting for the rant.
Actually, I wonder if it's up. 1 second, Scott. I need to see something. I might send it to you.
All right.
And I hate to tell you, your one membership is worth less than 25 to 35 women that complain about the machine being broken. So just sort of do the math.
Scott, I'm going to send you something to your Instagram real quick.
Perfect. I can pull up Instagram easier than I used to now, so this is good.
Can you pull this up? I want people to see this. It's very valuable information.
Oh, no.
All right. Give me just a minute, gentlemen.
I think I know what this is, Dusty.
All right.
Are we doing this?
No, we're definitely doing this. Let's see it go up.
I'm getting good at this now. Here we go. There we go.
Not that good. I'm still
Look
waiting.
at that.
How much is my band actually assisting?
Yes, we talked about this.
Braden did a video to show everyone
how
much the band is actually helping you when you load it up on this.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, he does a great job with this video. I reposted it. This is my training partner, Braden, and this is his home gym in his garage.
That band is giving you 155 pounds of assistance at 0. Now, also keep in mind, as it stretches and gets lower, it's even more than that. with no band when he pulls on it.
So well, that's the right type of band. He's got the right type of band on. So it takes 40 pounds off the bottom. It deloads 40 pounds.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So he's seeing like what the sled weighs without the band.
Yeah.
And then he figures it out, right?
I want to know how much my Body Master's sled weighs because it's freaking heavy. Real heavy.
So he's got the light band, like a lighter band. So it's 0 at the top because it's got slack.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he drops it down. And he sort of estimates like for his height, where he actually bottoms out. So he pulls it up to about, he's like, I'm about there.
Yeah.
And he weighs the sled. And it's a 40-pound difference.
Yeah. With the lightest band.
It's not, it's his lightest band, but you could go smaller if you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's a great way to show people, because I see guys using the thick band.
Oh, yeah.
And I started using the banded ones for my knees later in my career, and it definitely helped. But how you set the band is game changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're putting a huge band and then you're wrapping it long ways like he did there, it's giving you like 3 plates a side. I mean, it's obscene, So be mindful of that when you're loading the machine. And I still am, and I don't need to do it anymore, even with the knee. Like, I don't have to put the band on, but it is something to note when you're adding that. Don't get overly caught up in how much you're doing. It's assisting a lot more than you think.
I put bands on my my chest press, but to the opposite way.
To resist.
Yeah, to make it harder, and it changes the strength curve. You can get like the little short elite bands, like the little red minis, and throw that on your hammer strength press, and it'll completely change that strength curve. It's kind of cool because it's still going to be easier in the hole where it's the hardest.
Right.
But as you push up and you get stronger, it gets harder too. I love doing that. I mean, it's not like I'm saying like, oh, you got to do that if you ever want to be your best. But if you get if you've done 10,000 reps this year on that machine, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to do something a little different. It's fun to throw the band on there. But yeah, it's something different.
It's less of a thing than it was. But for a while there, like the amount of people that were banding like everything.
That was
to make
John
it
Meadows.
Easier.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, to make it easier.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they're misunderstanding. Yeah.
Like they because I think actually Luke started the banding because that's where I got it. I was like, I am doing 10 plates a side. It probably is a good idea to get that little assistance at the bottom. And I knew I was getting extra reps because of it, but I was like, yeah, because he explained it to me. And he's like, yeah, with the knees at that depth going below parallel. And I was like, that's probably a good idea. And I definitely saw the reps go up, but I could see how over time it was worth it. I was like, that's fine.
Yeah. So I remember John said something once. Meadows used to say, the purpose of changing the strength curve is to make the whole rep harder technically.
Right.
So like, intensity is how much work can you do in a period of time.
Yeah.
So if you think about your rep, and if half the rep is really easy and half the rep is really hard, if you make the whole rep equally hard, then you've raised your intensity in his mind, right?
Yeah.
So that was so you want to band enough to make the rep feel equally hard all the way through. As you get mechanically stronger, the weight gets heavier and it stays equally hard all the way up. Yep. So that was the thing that never got lost on me, but clearly got lost on a whole bunch of people. Like Braden put that post up, and he said it's frustrating because he gets messages from people. They're like, "So it makes it easier." He's like, "Oh God, okay."
Not really what I was trying to point out here.
Yeah.
You know what I used to reverse band that I loved doing was the squat in a rack.
Yeah.
And that was when I got from John. It was back, and I couldn't afford it at the time. VJ bought, it was like right when I started training with Vij. And he bought the Mountain Dog Elite band set. So it was like 4 different sets of bands, And so we're like, John's using bands, we're using bands, we're banding everything. And I found that so we'd hook it at the top of the squat rack. You could go from the bottom up, right? And make it harder. Dangle it down. And we'd use like I can't remember what it was, the green band though. So it was like a narrow band, but it was stronger. And I could get like an entire additional plate. And I would feel that plate almost all the way down, and it was still like hard as hell in the hole, but it was like no stress on my low back, or you know what I mean? No additional.
It deloaded a bit.
It deloaded a bit.
Deloaded just.
And then as you're driving up, oh my God, like it got harder than I had ever been able to handle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like 2/3.
Well, now you're handling an extra plate.
Yeah,
for that part
2/3 of the way up, man.
Yeah.
It was cool. I like doing that. It was fun.
So I remember one of the funnest things I ever did squatting was right when all that was coming in. I don't know what year that would have been. Is that like 8?
Yeah, right there to 12, maybe
later than that.
12,
later than
maybe
that.
13.
Okay.
14,
So
12,
I was
13.
training at a gym that had a bunch of chains.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so I would hook the small chains. They would hang down, and then I would have the bundle at the bottom.
Yes.
Yep.
And of course, most people didn't have any idea what to do with chains. They were just hanging a chain, and it wouldn't even touch the floor.
Yeah.
And they'd squat down, and it was like maybe like 6 or 7 links would coil, and they'd stand back up. I'm like, it's like literally a 10-pound
Yeah.
chain.
If that.
Yeah.
The point is, you want the cluster of chains at the bottom to kind of always touch so they don't swing,
Yeah.
right? You don't want them swinging around. You want them to kind of always just have enough drag on the floor that they stay still. But then as you squat down, like 50 pounds of chain on each side would deload to the floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the bottom third of the rep.
Right.
Yep.
And I remember I figured it out. I got all the links. I'm counting links and writing it down like, okay, 22 links down. I got six cluster, 3 clusters looped on each side with 10 links hanging. And I made the notes on how I like to squat. And I was squatting with chains for a little while. And it was like fun. It was fun. It was just, there was a feel to it. As you come out, you feel them load onto the bar, and you have to drive through because it's going to get harder. So you're trying to accelerate.
Yep.
Which is also why powerlifters would do it to help
Yep.
build acceleration and speed, right?
Yeah.
Bar speed. So it was fun. And then one day, I was coming up out of the squat. I had 3.5 plates aside with about 50 pounds of chain on each side.
Okay.
So it was about a 450 squat.
Yeah.
And I was about 14 weeks out from my show. Okay, I was just started my prep. And I'm coming out of the hole, and as the chain loaded onto the bar, loud crunch in the front of my quad.
Oh.
Pop, pop, pop. And I got to the top and fucking dumped the bar. And right at the top of my teardrop, about halfway up my leg on the inside of my thigh, the top of my teardrop, my quad was just spasm. And I had to rub it out, and it hurt like shit. Sure as shit, I tore some fibers. It didn't look different.
That
It was
wasn't
same.
that wasn't the tear.
That wasn't
Okay.
the tear,
Yeah.
but that was a tear I had on my other leg. That was a tear I had on my right leg, and it bruised up, and my whole leg turned purple. Ooh. And it was like a month of purple leg, and my foot was all purple. And
Great way to start
I had
the
to go
prep.
to the, Yeah, and I had to go to the Arnold that following week with this purple leg, swollen foot, standing at the booth. Every night, go straight back to my room, put my leg up to try to drain it out.
Right.
It was a mess. And Rich, I showed Rich my leg. That was 2013. I showed Rich my leg in my room, and he goes, "Oh, well, you can't do the show." And I was like, "Oh yeah." It's like I got 13 weeks.
Yeah.
And I remember all the way to the show, that leg didn't quite come in.
Yeah.
And that was my worst placing at nationals ever. I had one quad that just wasn't as separated.
Yep.
It just didn't quite clear out in time. It took months for it to all go away.
It's the worst.
Pop, pop, pop. Oh, that's the worst sound.
Oh,
pop,
yeah.
pop, pop. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that sound. A friend of mine tore his tricep doing basically like a French press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was spotting him, and I heard it sound like Velcro.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as soon as I heard it, I yanked the bar. I mean, I just pulled it out of his hands, put it down, and he looks at me, and I mean, his face is already white, right? And I mean, this is a guy, he doesn't compete. He's just like a hard training dude, and he's like, all right, I think I'm out for the rest of the tricep workout, but I'll stay and spot you. I'm like, no, you will leave and go to the doctor. Like, no, I'll be fine. I'm like, I'll be fine finishing this workout.
Yeah.
Like, I heard the Velcro, bro. I don't need to ask a doc what's gone on. I know what happened just now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. I had that other one I wanted to ask too that was very important, guys. How important is the pump?
Well, it's not the be-all, end-all. It's not. Just a pump itself isn't directly linked to any growth. Like you could get a pump with a 20-pound band, right?
Yeah.
But I think the pump is great feedback because, like, let's say you're training back, and after you do your pull downs and your rows, your biceps are pumped.
Yeah.
And your rear delts are pumped, but you don't feel like your back is pumped. I think that's great feedback that your back's not doing the majority of the work and you're using your arms and rear delts too much. Whereas if you do like a very experienced bodybuilder like us, I go in the gym and we do our warm-up sets on the pull down,
right?
And my back's already full of blood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I'm so good at using my back. So it's a good feedback mechanism that you're using the right muscles. And I don't think it could possibly be a bad thing to deliver nutrients and hormones and growth factors and all that stuff to a muscle. There's people now saying you don't want to pump because it causes fatigue. I'm just like, oh God.
I just hung up.
Don't go to failure. Don't get a pump.
Don't get a pump. A pump will restrict your power or your strength on your next set. You don't want to pump. Don't want to get a pump.
I would like to know how I would do a curl without getting a pump.
Yeah, how am I supposed to train without getting a pump? I get pumps instantly. I get pumps on
warm-up
warm-up
sets. The only
sets.
negative I have with the pump is if people confuse the value. Because, for example, if you're doing not even just that, but if you were basing the pump on whether or not a movement is good, then you would say extensions are better for quads than a hack squat.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you do, and hell, let's go light in weight and do 150 reps.
Right.
Like your legs are going to feel like they're going to pop when you do that. Now, if we're calling the pump the be all end all, then that is better than an extension set that's heavy to 10 at failure, or way better than a squat. Because like how pumped do your quads feel in comparison to an extension when you squat?
Yeah.
So that's the only area where I find it can be tricky. I also worry about the word pump when you're dieting. Because I'm like, when I ask you how the pump is, I'm not asking compared to when you had pizza last night and then came in and trained. I'm aware that you're on 50 grams of carbs.
Right.
Really I'm just asking is, are you feeling the muscle contract and fill up in any way? So I only ask really advanced clients about their pump because I've made that mistake before, and then I realize I'm like, oh, I asked a question they can't answer. This isn't good.
There are people that, and I had this happen with my doctor even, because I can't remember what it was, and I was talking about like symptoms of the long bug and all that. I was like, I can't get, I haven't been able to get a pump. She's like, you can't, a pump? I was like, when you're working out, the pump? She's like, what is that? I've had two people say that to me, like, what's the pump? And I find that so interesting because I think in our lives, the circles of people that we know, the
pump is the cure.
There's, I don't know anybody else. Like, it shocks me that somebody wouldn't know what the pump was. I just tell them to go watch Pumping Iron. Ask Arnold; he'll tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Just hand her a DVD. She probably still has one if she doesn't know what the pump is.
We know what's better than. We know what the pump is better than.
Exactly. You should have said that. It's better than sex. She's like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, but you're right. The newer people should just concentrate on getting stronger. They shouldn't even worry about where they're feeling it. They should just worry about getting stronger. Yeah. Like, is your bench going up? Is your squat going up? Is your form getting better? That's all they should think. And that'll all come later. That whole feeling stuff. And
Ron, think about if you're, like the push on hip thrusts, right? You can really feel your glutes if you're doing right. And I'm not an anti-hip thrust guy, first off. But you can really feel your glutes. I don't feel my glutes on a leg day until 2 days later when they're just smoked and in pain. And I'm like, apparently going below parallel did its job. But during the training, I'm never like, man, my glutes are really firing on this hack squat.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, that's another thing. Like, glute training wasn't even a thought for bodybuilders at all. We had quads and hams. And glutes just got trained because you're leg pressing 14 plates aside and you're hack squatting 700 pounds and your barbell squatting 400 to 500 all the time and you're lunging. So glutes just got hammered.
Yep.
And we'd think like, oh, lunges are good for the glutes. Look at Ronnie. But we weren't thinking like, I have glute day today.
No.
Yeah.
It never occurred to anybody, you know? So,
Apparently the secret is skating, because I had to be careful because of years of hockey to try not to get the glutes involved because they made my hamstrings look smaller.
Huh. Really?
If you look at, like, if I were to post a picture of like when I started bodybuilding,
Yeah.
I was all legs.
Oh, dude, every hockey player I've ever worked with, like I look at them, they send me pictures. I'm like, did you play hockey? I'm like, yeah, 15 years, just all legs.
Yeah. It's like legs and glutes are what you have. So I had to really be cautious though on like finding that sweet spot. Like I didn't break parallel in the beginning of my career on purpose. It was like touch parallel, come back up.
Huh, okay.
I did not want to, because I had weak hamstrings to begin with and overdeveloped glutes. So it's like, you're just highlighting your weakness. Right. You know?
Yeah.
Right. Like no one says, oh, he has great glutes. They say he has small hamstrings. Like,
Yeah.
So it's one of those. I had a couple questions that Nikki threw in as well that I thought were interesting for you guys. First one is peaking for shows. Is it necessary for everyone? And what are some peaking myths?
well, a peaking myth is that it's necessary for everyone.
Check.
Right? A peaking myth is that you need diuretics. You don't. I've just had some very recent success with none at all, several times. Peaking myth is that you should load into a show. Like it's all of them are myths. It should be, how do you look, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think the best plan generally is to be ready early, and I'm talking like almost 2 weeks out. Like you better have your glutes in, you better look pretty damn good, and don't rely on feeding up right before the show. I mean, that's a strategy that can and has worked for a lot of people, but ideally you want to start feeding up like a week out and make sure the guy feels great and looks good. And how you feel in the gym? Oh man, I'm so glad my fatigue is gone. I'm cutting back on cardio. Like that's ideally the situation. And then you just try to maintain that position. Like I've had lots of guys Friday before the show, they're back on their diet. Like they're back on their lower carb day.
Yeah.
Because they're already like, they maybe did high carbs Monday, high carbs Wednesday, and medium carbs Thursday. And they wake up Friday and I'm like, hey, let's just do the normal diet day. You look great.
Yep.
So a myth is that you should do a whole bunch of shit the last week. If someone's ready, the coach should have very little to do the last week. Like, hey, just repeat yesterday. Don't change anything. Repeat. That's a great place to be.
Oh yeah. Agreed. What about you, Scott? Anything to add?
Yeah, not really. I think that pretty much nails it. There are times, like where things just aren't right, like that's the ideal situation. And I would say that I love when that ideal situation happens. So all of
I can't hear you. It's like really choppy.
You sound like a robot.
Oh, it says trying to reconnect.
There you go, you're back.
It says trying to reconnect.
Oh, there we go.
I would say
start over.
I'll say that is the ideal situation, that you don't have to do anything. But yeah, everything is going to be completely unique. Every situation is unique. So yeah, I agree. Just that the only myth is that there is anything that you're supposed to do other than relax. That's one thing everybody should do.
Another one. Husband-wife coaching relationships. Do they work? Why or why not? Would you coach your spouse?
They can work. It just depends on the dynamic. And I did help Emily. I was her coach when we met. I was her coach for like years before we got together. And then I coached her for like her last few shows. I coached her for the Arnold when we went to Spain, and she did the Arnold and placed really well. Made the finals and everything at the Arnold. So that was cool. And but we're also very level-headed, and she works really hard, and I know she's not cheating on her diet and, all that stuff. So just, it worked for us, but, some people obviously is not going to be a great idea. And it's also too, like, it also depends on the division. Like, there's lots of factors, but she was doing bikini, and at the time it worked well. But You know, would I coach her again? She'd probably coach herself again. She'd probably just do it herself. You know, like I helped Nikki for her shows there because Dusty was like, I'm going to help her in the gym and beat the crap out of her.
Yeah.
And you can do the numbers because I want nothing to do with it. And it worked out really well. Like, Nikki looked amazing at her shows.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I like that from the side that
They almost told her she was overconditioned. Whatever they did with her placing at that last show.
I didn't want, like, for me as somebody who coaches, like, I wanted to just bring my pom-poms and show up.
Yeah, because that's fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to just be the fun part. And I took the pictures and made 0 comments and moved it on and didn't think about it. And it was a lot more fun for me. I've done both. And I can say this from experience. I helped a girl that won everything we ever did. And she was a machine. And then later on in life, we were dating and I helped her. And then there were questions.
Ooh, yeah.
Then there was, do I really need, like, things that never came up before. And she didn't place as well at that show. And I was like, there it is. We lost that thing where you just do what I say. You know, so that was definitely a tricky part to me. And I think you're right, Ron. It is person to person. I helped my first wife for her shows, and then she, you know, I was like, why don't you try hiring someone else and see how it goes? And it went horrendously, and I bit my tongue the whole time. And then after she came off for prejudging, she's like, you knew the whole time, huh? And I'm like, I did. And then she came back and worked with me for the rest of her career. So it does really depend on how it works. Do we got time for more, or we have enough, Scott? I have a few more.
It says I'm trying to reconnect again. I'm having issues here.
Scott's a robot.
Yeah.
Ron,
Yeah.
should we do another one?
Yeah.
Scott has no opinion.
I'm happy to do another one. I got one thing I want to touch on before we go, but it's not bodybuilding.
Cool. Well, actually, the one I'm going to check on is not bodybuilding either, but it could be. So, first quarter of the year is obviously said and gone. And I'm curious with our listeners how many people set goals for their year. And if they're on pace or beating them, or if they even knew to set a goal. I'm sure you guys have some set, and curious how yours are going. You don't have to get specific, but I think it's important. I've talked to a lot of people recently about this, and I'm shocked how many people just don't.
I turned 50 this year in October. And I mean, I've known this was coming for a while now, and it's lit a real fire under my ass.
49 years.
You got a while to prepare.
49 years. I knew I was going to. Well, no, it's more like I was hoping I would turn 50.
Yeah.
I had some. It was a little bit sketchy there for a while. But I had a goal this year, and I told Emily, I said, this year I am going to bury myself in work that seems impossible to get done. And because this is the setup year, this is a year that is going to dictate, the rest of our lives. Like, I want to do some really big stuff this year, income wise, investment wise, and everything, things, you start building these little relationships and things start to, and I've got a couple of projects on the go right now that are going to be very important, and I'm very excited, and things are starting to roll, and I'm definitely on track for a big year of a lot of hard work. It's my say yes to every job I can take on type of year.
Love it.
Yep.
And even from stuff Mutant's asking me to do, to stuff related to the gym, to stuff related to my training business, to other things with other projects, and I'm working on more things at once now than I ever have. Mm-hmm. And I think just taking on the workload, taking on responsibility, putting myself in a position where I have no choice but to succeed.
Yep.
And taking some risks. And that's what this year is all about. And definitely putting my balls on the line with a couple things this year.
Okay.
So I will keep you posted.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And also too, my hip's been a mess for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm fucking done.
Yep.
I'm talking to private clinics now. If they can't get me in for the Canadian free shit, I'm fucking buying a hip. I don't give a shit. I'm done. I talked to Mike Van Wyck. He paid for both of his hips. He said he didn't want to wait. They told him like crazy wait times because we're in Canada. And so he just paid for his hips, went to a guy in Montreal or Toronto or whatever, and he gave me the guy's contact. And I'm talking to the guy. I sent in my forms, I sent him my MRIs and I sent him my forms. I'm waiting for a consult, and I've got a consult with my doctor about meeting a surgeon for the free hip. And I got some names from my brother of good orthos that do sports guys. And so whatever I can get in, if the wait time isn't too bad, I'll wait for the free surgery. But if it's going to be silly, I'm just going to pay for it. Yep. And just getting things done so I can get on with shit.
I like that.
What about you, Scott?
Well, I took a hit so far this year. My game plan has been to build a website to replace Patreon. And I invested some money in that with somebody that I guess I shouldn't have invested money with, and I lost $1,000. Is flat out what ended up happening. And then it became one of those things where like it's
cheers to it only being $1,000.
Yeah. It's $1,250 to be exact, but it sucks to lose anything, And it kind of like drug on, and then I'm reaching out to him, and he's telling me like, oh, it's all set, but I'd never given him any of my stuff to build the site, So I think it's all like, and he's like, oh, well, I need money to get this up now. So that I was like, well, can we have a meeting as of last week? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to need another, $300 to get this hosted. And I was like, oh, I thought that's what part of the $1,250 was for, Right. And so I decided I don't trust this guy. I'm not going to go through with it. But if anybody out there who's listening knows a good person who could do a website, basically there's so many like OnlyFans type sites out there. We got to be able to do something like that. You know what I mean? And
I'm not getting
well, no, not that part. I meant this.
Wow.
Once the words came out of my
how
mouth,
much money is it again?
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm back.
I'm sorry.
I have some goals too, and this might help.
Let me say that again. The structure of the site. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be some way to set something like that up. So I need some help. But that's one of my goals this year is to try to move to that because it'll give us more freedom for me to be able to say things that I can't say on, because Patreon at the end of the day is still a social media platform, and they do have their rules and regulations, and they don't like everything we do in bodybuilding. Anyway, so I'm kind of bummed, and I haven't talked about it at all yet. Like, my wife knows.
I'm glad I put you on the spot.
Yeah, my wife knows. Well, I was like, you know what, I'm going to say it because it kind of sucks, but guess what? Life isn't always awesome, right? So, that was a crappy thing that happened, but it's not holding me back. And another thing that I wanted to do was my health this year. Like, I really wanted to step it up. Like, the January 12th or 15th, I started deciding, like, hey, I'm going to start doing cardio consistently. I'm going to start getting in shape. And I have not felt this good in a really long time. So there's a loss and there's a really good win, which ultimately I think is even more important than $1,000. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So real quick, because it's something that I thought of while you were talking, Ron. When I was like 22 years old, this conversation about goals and plans and having multiple things and all this would seem like, well, how do you even get to that? You know what I mean? It sounds like a conversation at 22 years old that I didn't need to be a part of. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So what advice would you give to somebody who's young and maybe as they're listening to this are hearing that and thinking, wow, they're talking about businesses and, websites and stuff. That's not me yet. I'm barely getting by. How would you suggest someone like that, first off, changes that mindset, and second off, finds themselves in positions where that could be possible at the current moment and, of course, advance down the line?
Oh, man, that's tough. I think, one thing that I didn't do, and I'm sure it all contributed, but I never spent money on dumb shit.
Mm-hmm. I did.
I know. You bought like stupid cars and stuff and went through some phases. And there's some expensive girls in there too, I think. But I didn't spend money on dumb shit. Like I didn't care about watches and jewelry, and I didn't care about designer clothes. I just didn't give a fuck. And I know that contributed a bit to just like saving when I was young, but it also is me now. Like I don't own any jewelry. own a watch. I don't have anything.
Right.
I don't care. I just live a simple life. People spend a lot of money trying to impress people that they don't even like and that don't like them. So keep that in mind. Investing a little bit goes a long ways over the course of 30, 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're out there and you're 20 years old, I know you don't have much money right now because everyone's busting their ass, but you should be putting like $100 a month into like your funds, or buying S&P 500 or doing something.
Yep.
And just trust me, don't worry, it's going to go like this.
Yeah.
But like in 30 years, you're going to look and you're going to go, I got a chunk of money here. And now I can go to the bank and borrow some money, because they go, oh, you got money. Because that's how rich people get rich, right? They don't use their money.
Yeah.
They just show their money to the bank, and then the bank gives them money. And so you got to start thinking about building wealth $10 at a time.
Yep.
And it's a slug, and it doesn't come fast, but time's going to fly by. You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be 35 and you're going to have $200,000 in your funds.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're going to be like, oh shit. Okay. That's great. You know? And then you know, just that sort of thing. I've talked about it a bunch of times, but also too, Dave made a very good point. He said, be nice to people.
That was awesome. Mm-hmm. That was a cool part.
Yeah.
And I can attest that right now I have a project on the go that is extremely interesting and exciting. And it is because I developed a relationship with someone based on just mutually respecting them, being nice to them. I knew this guy for a long time. I didn't know him real well. I knew him as like a good dude. We worked together many years ago. And I was like, oh, it's a good guy. He's, and then I respected what he was doing. He respected what I was doing. We were always cordial to one another. I'd see him around. Hey, how you doing, man? And just developing relationships like that. I had no idea that there was going to be a future, possible business opportunity come up with this guy. It's not like he was being nice to me to get something out of me, and it's not like I was being nice to him for any reason at all, other than he was just a good guy and I'm nice to people. And we got to know each other. Started chatting on Instagram a lot more the last while. Like, hey, and now all of a sudden there's a very exciting project happening with this guy because we're both nice guys. Like, you never know what opportunities are out there. And if you go through life with the always bitchy resting face and you don't say hi to people and you walk into the gym and don't talk to the staff and you walk around the gym scowling everyone, there's going to be hundreds of potential opportunities that just never come to you because everybody thinks you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
And I'm not any brilliant businessman or anything. I know what I happen to know, but he came to me because I know those things.
Yep.
And he's like, you know some stuff that I need, and I've got some stuff that you need. And if we hook up, we can do something. And I'm like, you're fucking right, we can.
Yep.
And so I'm excited about it. And so that's just my little reiteration of what Dave said. Like, you have to create opportunities for yourself without meaning to do so. Like,
remember when we were in Germany, Scott?
Yeah.
And it's the last day, FIBA, we're smoked, we're sitting down, we're eating, and this guy walks by and he's like looking at us, and he finally stops by and he's like, I know you, to Ron. And Ron's like,
we're in the hotel lobby eating. Yeah,
like,
hotel restaurant.
Okay, yeah.
And Ron goes, yeah. He goes, what? I sat next to you at a banquet of some sort. And long story short, they go back and forth, exchange conversation. And I looked at Ron and I said, it's so funny that guy stopping is a move people don't do. They see him, they go, oh, I know that guy, and they just keep walking. And Ron can tell you this. I literally said, in 10 years, this could be something. Maybe not.
Yeah, you never know.
But he paused, and you guys had a short conversation, introduced me, or this whole thing. It's all because that guy stopped, and because Ron left a impression on him from their last meeting, and he's very much in the wheelhouse of what we do. And it was just funny because when he left, I said that to Ron. I was like, people don't do that, and it blows my mind.
Yeah, he's a CEO of a major fitness chain here in Canada.
Okay, yeah.
Like a massive franchise.
Yeah.
And I sat next to him at like a business development banquet that I got invited to because of West Coast Iron.
Uh-huh.
And I just happened to be put at his table.
Yep.
And we start chatting, and he's like, "Oh, I run all the blah, blah, blahs." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And then we start chatting. He's like, "Hey, I like what you guys are doing. You know, it's not what we do, but I really respect you guys. Got this like really cool niche going on. Like, it's awesome." And then when
It's
he
cool
saw
that
me,
they
like, that was-
recognize you when you're so far out of their lane, you know?
yeah, like, that was like 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And then he sees me, and he's like, "Where do I know you?" And I'm like, "I'm from Vancouver." And he goes, "You on West Coast Iron?"
Yep.
And we start chatting, and then like Dusty says, you know, that's how guys wind up like owning stuff together.
Yeah.
Yep.
And shit is like those types of things, but people don't take advantage of those opportunities, you know? Great guy, really nice guy. But he was there too to like just look at equipment and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, it was very
Create
cool.
opportunities for yourself. Go up to people, say hi.
Yep.
I like that.
It's enormous. So, yeah,
Okay.
I thought that was a good note to finish out with.
Yeah. I got one thing.
Yes, one thing.
I did not watch hockey for about 20 years.
Okay.
You're welcome.
I used to be a big hockey. Like I grew up watching playoff hockey all the time, right? Like it was a thing. It was just a thing. Grew up, we're Canadian, but I kind of stopped watching hockey for years. I went to a couple Oilers games when I lived in Edmonton. Some playoff games versus Dallas. It was super exciting. I won it over. Like I was, and I knew the Oilers. I used to pour them drinks at the bar. Ryan Smith used to drink off me. Doug Waite would give me his credit card. I'd run it through, run a tab for the boys. Like I knew those guys. The hockey that we have seen for the last 2 years in the playoffs, including the first round that we just witnessed, is the greatest hockey I have ever seen in my life. And I am so happy that Americans, and obviously Americans have always loved hockey to a degree, but like the viewership is skyrocketing.
Oh, yeah.
And people are saying stuff like, I'm not going to watch the NBA. The playoff games are happening at the same time. I'm watching hockey.
Okay.
I have always said this, the playoff hockey is the perfect television sport.
Yep.
It is fast. It is extremely exciting. The camera can follow it very easily. On soccer, you get lost in the field and nothing's happening for a while. There's like lots of violent contact, lots of exciting hits. The game we saw last night between Winnipeg and St. Louis that Dusty and I watched,
Yeah.
that is like absolutely mind-blowing how exciting that game was.
That's cool.
And it also was a perfect showcase of how precise the skill is with some of the stuff they're doing. Like those 2 tip-in goals that guy got, just people don't realize. They think you're shooting the puck at the net and it goes in. No, they're doing there's 100-mile-an-hour slap shots, and the other guys are holding their sticks up and just tipping the puck, changing the angle by 10 degrees right onto the goalie's arm. Like some amazing shit. And that tying goal with 1 second left.
Scott, the team, the Jets are down 2 goals with under 2 minutes left in the game.
Okay.
They score a goal, and then they end up scoring the tying goal with 1.6 seconds left.
You're kidding.
And then they win in double overtime.
Holy crap.
30-plus minutes of hockey later. Ron texts me at 11 p.m. my time. If you watch this game, I'm like, you're damn right I'm watching this game.
That's epic.
And another thing, the Dallas game the night before,
which I also watched,
was incredible. And also both were home team wins. Dallas won in Dallas, Winnipeg won in Winnipeg in double overtime.
Both came from behind.
Both came from behind in the third period. That guy scored a hat trick in the third period. Just crazy. We're just seeing these performances from players that are just putting their guts on the line, and guys playing with bloody mouths and smashed faces and broken bones in their foot. And it is the showcase of what hockey is all about. And we watch soccer players take dives, and we watch basketball guys fall down. They didn't even get hit in the face. Oh my face. And then you watch hockey, and you're nobody's leaving the game.
Well, to give you an idea, Scott, after the Florida series, Two Florida teams played. Nikki's team won the series, but Victor Hedman that plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning, they never say what injuries are during the series.
Okay.
And then they let you know
nothing,
after.
right?
They let you know afterwards he was playing on a broken leg.
You're kidding me. Well, listen, I get it now because I
Tape that
watched
fucking thing up.
I watched
Tape it
all
up.
the seasons of Shoresy, so I might not be an
So
actual
you know.
hockey fan, but I live in Detroit. Everybody around me is, and I watch Shoresy, so I know, man. It's
It's
tape
cool.
that
It's
thing
That's
up.
crazy.
Yeah.
Plus the added bonus for the Dallas game that I got to throw in for anybody who's interested is this guy played for the Avalanche, and his contract was coming up.
Yeah.
And he wanted his money, and the Avalanche said you're not worth what you're asking for. You won't fit our budget, so they let him go.
Okay.
He ends up in Dallas where they pay as soon as he gets there, which he was traded elsewhere, and then he came there. He went to Carolina first, but as soon as they brought him in, they signed him to an 8-year, $12 million a year deal. Ooh. And he ends up being the one that scores 3 goals in the third period and knocks the Avalanche out of the playoffs.
Dang.
The guy you let go, I was like, oh, that had to be a little bit fun.
Wow.
Just
it was
a little
the
bit.
ultimate revenge. It was the ultimate revenge. Like of all player revenges,
Yeah.
of all traded players that have ever gotten revenge on a team.
Yeah.
He was
Immediate
like,
revenge.
here's your $12 million. 1, 2, 3, go play golf. Yeah. And also when the hockey crowds, is there a better hockey crowd than a hometown overtime win
Yeah, they're
crowd?
insane. They're
That
insane.
building explodes. Like it comes through your TV like, oh my God. Like it's like a bomb goes off. When that puck went in with 1.5 seconds or whatever to tie
man.
it, that TV just, the
Yeah,
noise
you
that comes
see
out
the
of
people
it.
hit the roof, and I mean, I used to go to games, and I left the game every single time with no voice. That's how loud you are in the crowd. Like I would leave,
Yeah.
and you couldn't even talk on the way home because your voices are all shot. Best time
man.
of your life. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that Ron is back to the addiction because I know he's in after last year. I'm like, oh, good. I've got somebody to send hockey.
Yeah, I was
stuff
gonna say
to.
now you can send him stuff and talk about it. You got some
Yeah,
money.
exactly.
Yeah, we just want to let the viewers know if you've never watched NHL playoff hockey, pick a game. Round 2 is about to start. We got some crazy matchups. Oilers in Vegas. Let's go. And who's your team right now, Dusty? Who's left for you
The
guys?
Panthers, and they're playing Toronto.
So Florida's playing Toronto. That'd be a good
Yeah,
series.
yep.
The Leafs have been like dog shit for how many decades?
Oh, forever. They just
Yeah.
finally got out of the first round for the first time.
Yeah, the
forever.
Leafs have just been like, Toronto's heartbreak for like so long. And now all of a sudden, round 2, let's go.
I guarantee you, we
So-
have hockey fans watching this show right now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they should definitely let
They're-
Ron
they're
and Dusty
nodding
know.
right now.
Let Ron and Dusty know who are you rooting for, right?
Yeah, so it's just a
Exactly.
little thing. It's just been so fun, man. The games have been awesome, and kind of makes me a little extra Canadian pride there too. That
I like
it's
that.
kind of our export. So glad it's doing well. Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, we did pretty good today, gentlemen. That was a fun show.
good.
Okay,
Absolutely.
remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
ring that bell. Remember, ifbb.com. Get your discount. Don't you want to save money? Don't you
Yes.
want to take your money to Costco and buy some food, and you have enough left over for a bottle of gear,
There you go.
You're good.
Yeah.
right?
'Cause of us.
Yeah, bottle of test. Okay, so yeah, Dusty and Big Ron are your codes. Get your IsoSurge, get your all in. Everyone should get on the gear. I'm talking about the EAAs.
Yes.
And then if you with the money you save, you can buy a bottle of test.
There you go.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Remember, it's just bodybuilding.